Hey everyone, my name is McKenna, also known as Sylphic Studios, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I'm back with a super exciting video because I was invited to a special Mermay collab hosted by the incredible Electric Bunny VT, so thank you over to her for inviting me to this collab. In total, there were 8 of us participating in this collab, so I will leave everyone's information on the screen and in the description below so you guys can go check out their dolls. So with all that being said, for my doll in particular, I decided to go for more of like a SIREN type vibe. I found a Great Scarier Reef Torlai on Mercari for a pretty good price, so she's the doll that I'm going to be basing everything off of today, and this is the pretty rough concept that I drew up for her. I was really inspired by a lot of things I saw on Pinterest, like SIREN makeup looks and all of that stuff. So yeah, with all that being said, let's get into the actual customizing, starting with prepping. So this is the base doll that I found on Mercari. Again, it's a Great Scarier Reef Torlai, and this was actually my second time ever working on a G1 style doll, because usually, as you guys know, I only work on G3. So I was super excited to change up the pace a little bit. But first things first, I'm just dumping her head in some boiling water. And honestly, in the moment, I didn't realize when I was doing this that I was doing it in the complete wrong order. Like, I don't know why I did it this way. Normally, I cut off all the hair and then remove the head, but this time I decided to remove the head and then chop off all the hair. I don't really know why I did that. It still worked. Like, it works either way. But still, I don't know why I did it this way. I guess I just had like a huge brain fart. But anyway, as you can see, I'm just chopping off all of her hair as close to the root as possible so it's easier to remove later. And then once her hair is chopped off, I'm just taking my long needle nose pliers and scraping out all the old plugs. Oh, and also, I'm sorry about like the quality of the footage for the first like few steps. I completely forgot my ring light at my house because I was working on this doll at my boyfriend's house, so the lighting is a little bit off. So like halfway through working on this doll at his house, I drove like an hour home to go grab my ring light because I just needed it. The lighting was not doing it for me. But that's besides the point. Now I'm just removing all of her old plugs from the inside of her head. Since this is a G1 doll and they used to use glue to glue in all the hair, this was a little bit nasty compared to the usual G3 heads. So this took me a little bit more time to remove everything. Now that she's fully bald, I'm just painting her scalp this light blue color to match the hair I'll be rebooting her with later. And I believe I did 3 layers of this paint just until it was fully opaque. Once her scalp was all painted, it was time to move on to the next step, which is the reroot. For her hair colors, I used a blend of Frosted Tear and Shimmer Shine Starlight from the Doll Planet in Shimmerlocks. I accidentally blended way too much hair for my Ash Nico custom that I'm working on, and I figured that this hair color would be perfect for this custom. And since I only had so much of this hair and I didn't have the time to order more and wait for it to come in, I did decide to skip a few plugs when I was doing this reroot just to ensure that I wouldn't run out of hair. So that's just something to note. I of course didn't skip any of the plugs for the hairline or the hair around your ears or anything, just like more towards the middle. So yeah, I definitely didn't want to root too much and then run out of hair and be completely screwed. So I just decided to skip some plugs. But now onto her actual rerooting process. I'm just rerooting her like normal. I'm just taking a small strand of hair, wrapping it around my finger, picking it up with my little tool, and then just poking it in her head. And like I do with all my customs, I always start at the way back of the head and do the entire hairline first and then work my way up. Usually a full reroot takes me around like 7 to 8 hours, but since I did skip some plugs on this one, I would say that she took me a little less time. This is how her hair was looking after I rooted in part of her hairline, and as you can see, this hair color is so beautiful. I love this blend. And this was her hair when everything was all rooted in. Again, I love this hair color. And now to seal everything in, I'm just taking my Fabri-Tac glue and adding a bunch to the inside of her head and swirling it around with a Q-tip. I washed her hair with shampoo and conditioner off camera and also gave her a boil wash just to tame it a little bit, and this is how it was looking. But now it's time to say bye to her beautiful hair because we are covering it up with a hair cover just to keep it safe from all the spray sealant that I'll be using. Oh, and I also cut some holes in the hair cover just for her ears so that the spray sealant can also hit her ears as well. Now we're on to the fun part, which is removing her factory paint, so I'm just using 100% acetone on some Q-tips and rubbing all her paint off. And like I said earlier, this is only my second time working on a G1 sculpt, and of course my first time working on a like G1 Torlai sculpt, so I was pretty surprised to see how like distinct her sculpting was for her eyes. Like you can kind of see it right here, her eye sculpt is like super defined and like sunken in to give her like that cat eye effect. So yeah, this is Torlai's face all wiped. I honestly love her sculpt. So now let's move on to the next part, which is the body repaint. So before I could go in and paint her actual body, I sprayed her with my white spray primer. Since I designed her with stark white skin, I thought it would be perfect to even out her skin tone with my white primer first, so that's exactly what I did. After that dried, I went in with my watered down white acrylic paint and just painted her skin tone in a lot of thin layers. I also sprayed every other piece like her back fins and her arms and legs with this white primer as well, just to even everything out. After I was happy with her skin tone paint, I went in with this like navy blue color and started mapping out where her tail was going to be. I also watered down this paint as well just to make sure that the finish that I got was as smooth as possible. This is how it was looking after like one layer of the paint. I'm just going in and smoothing everything out further here. And then I'm doing the same thing to her arms, but I'm only painting them like halfway up so I had room for the ombre. And speaking of ombre, once I was happy with how the blue paint was looking, I started to go in with my watered down black acrylic paint and just started adding that in the areas where I wanted the ombre to be. This is how her tail was turning out, and honestly, looking back, I don't know why I decided to do like just a straight across line for the ombre. I should have like tried to blend it a little bit more or make it uneven so it was easier to blend later. But you know what, that's just something I learned from this doll. Next time, I will be making it a little bit more uneven. But anyway, this is how her arms are turning out. I put like the tiniest bit of black on the bottom of her arm, and now I'm just sealing everything with some watered down glossy Mod Podge. After I painted her body, I moved on to her actual fins, and as you can see, I kind of had a little bit of an issue with her bottom fin. I initially sprayed it with my white spray primer, and honestly, I don't even know why I did that, considering I was painting this black anyway. Like, it doesn't I don't know why I did that. But after it dried, it started forming some cracks, and those cracks were just flaking straight off of it, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. So I just kind of tried to remove everything that I could. Some parts didn't want to come off, but after I removed everything that I could, I sprayed it with Mr. Super Clear and used that as my primer instead. Oh, and another thing I wanted to note, usually I sand every single piece that I'm repainting for my customs, but for this one, that just completely slipped my mind. I could not tell you why. Like, first I completely forgot the order that I do things in, and then I just completely forgot to sand her. Like, I could not tell you why. But honestly, despite forgetting that, her body repaint is still pretty sturdy. Like, it's not chipping off around her shoulders or anything, which is really nice. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that just in case you guys were wondering what happened to the sanding. Because after I realized what I did, I was also wondering what happened to the sanding. But anyway, now that her face and everything else is repainted, I'm just painting her ears pretty carefully. And now I'm just going in and adding the ombre to her arms, her little back wings, her tail, and basically everywhere that needed it. This took me around 2 or 3 layers for every piece just to make sure I got the cleanest blend that I could. The black ombres though only took around like 1 layer because it's a lot easier to build that up than like another color like the blue. That's all I was able to get done over at my boyfriend's place, so now we're back at my house with my usual recording setup, and I am still working on that ombre. Like I said earlier, I don't know why I kind of just left the harsh line of the blue there. I definitely should have tried to like blend it more with the paint. So I made my life a little bit more difficult than it needed to be, but it's okay. I think that it turned out pretty good in the end, but it just took a lot of back and forth. So after I was happy with the tail ombre, I moved on and started adding some like light blue body blushing to her because I felt like that would complement her more than just like pinks, like the usual pinks that I would normally do. So I'm just adding some dimension with the same blue pastel that I used to blend everything. This is how her finished body repaint turned out, and I'm super happy with it, so let's move on to her face up. So like all my other face ups, I'm taking my 0.5 mechanical pencil and sketching out all of her features, starting with her eyes. And like I said earlier, Toralai's sculpt is super defined, so I kind of had an easier time here, like mapping out her eyes. So I started with those first and then started building up her eyeliner and her actual eye shape. And for her makeup look, I was inspired by a lot of pictures that I saw on Pinterest. And I noticed that in a lot of makeup looks that people did, they didn't have eyebrows, so I thought that that could also fit her, so I decided not to give her eyebrows. I didn't want her to be too cutesy, but I also didn't want her to be too creepy, so I guess you can say she's kind of just like unsettling, if that makes sense. So this is her finished face sketch. It definitely looks a little bit different since she doesn't have eyebrows. So I went outside, sprayed her with some Mr. Super Clear, and now we're on to layer number 2 of her face up. So to start, I'm just taking the same blues that I had used earlier for the blending and started blending out her eyeshadow. And I was trying to blend her eyeshadow like quite a bit up on her forehead just to make up for the lack of eyebrows. So I tried my best to get as clean of a blend as possible. So for her eye color, I was honestly pretty stumped on what I wanted to do because her design was super like white, blue, and black, so I wasn't sure what would look good with it. But ultimately, I decided on doing bright yellow eyes because I feel like yellow and blue contrast each other really well. And this was honestly loosely inspired by my Final Fantasy character because she has blue hair and yellow eyes. So that's kind of where the inspiration for that came from. But yeah, this is the second layer of her face up all done. I think that she's looking pretty creepy already. So now we're on to layer number 3, which is just further deepening her eyeshadow and defining everything else. To add further contrast in her eyes, I thought that it could be cool to add some like kind of orange highlights. So I kind of like outlined some parts of her eyes in orange and started adding some like little tiny lines in her eyes. Now when I started adding the shading to her eyes, like the black powder was getting caught on like the white paint I had previously used to add even more definition into her eyes, and it just wasn't looking very good, so I tried my best to kind of like cover that up with different colors. And then I took some of my white paint and kind of like brightened up the center of her eye. This is her finished face up, and I'm honestly in love with how it turned out. It's definitely like a little bit more experimental for me, but I dig it a lot. So now I'm just letting down her hair from her hair cover since I'm pretty much done using all my sealants. After I took her hair down, I braided it all off camera just so that whenever I take it out later, she'll have some nice beachy waves. And I made sure to give it a nice boil wash just to set everything in place as well. And of course I couldn't forget the gloss, so I made sure to gloss her pupils and her lips as well. With her face up all done, it's finally time to move on to the last part, which is her outfit. I initially started working on her outfit while I was at my boyfriend's, so now we're just magically teleporting back there for a little bit. But for her outfit itself, the one that I made actually differs a lot from her actual concept art. I'll throw the concept art back on the screen right here so you can see. Initially, I wanted her to have this like cool ribcage thing made out of tiny pearl beads on top of her shirt, but I did not have time to go and get like tiny pearl beads. And then I also initially planned for her to have these like big long flowy sleeves, but I decided to ditch that as well because I wanted you to be able to see her like arm ombre a little better. So I basically just made her this like little black tube top and cinched it in the middle so it had a bit more shape. And then I just started adding a bunch of silver chain and some silver jump rings to her outfit pieces. This is how her top turned out. I honestly love how it looks. So since her outfit pieces are pretty much done now, it's time to move on to like the tiny details. So I gave her some ear piercings and also some bracelets with some jump rings. And you can kind of see it here. I decided to add some silver jump ring detailing to the bottom of her little sarong just to bring in the silver on the bottom part a little more. And of course we can't forget about her rings, so I'm just gluing on some tiny jump rings to her fingers to act as rings. These are how her rings turned out. I didn't want to go too overboard. So all that's left to do is take down her hair and she's ready for her reveal. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this YouTube video, and again, a huge thank you over to Electric Bunny VT for inviting me to this collab. I've always wanted to make a doll for Mermay, so this was literally perfect. Thank you so much for inviting me. And also, please make sure to go show some love to all the other amazing artists that were involved in this. I'll put photos of their dolls on the screen right now, but I'll also leave their social medias in the description below, so please go show them some love. This doll is made by Electric Bunny, the next one is Toby Sweet 27, Susika01, Dollmaker X, and Val Kitty's dollies. Steffo Doll and Magnificent Jinx are still working on those dolls, so I don't have any photos of them, so please make sure to go show them some love on their own social medias that I'll link below. Again, a huge thank you over to Electric Bunny for hosting this collab for all of us. I seriously had such a fun time making my girly. So yeah, if you'd like this video and would like to see more of my content, I highly recommend following my Instagram and my TikTok. I'm really active on my Instagram. I post on my story like almost every single day, so I will leave the links to those in the description below. And if you'd like to support me further and get early access to future YouTube videos, featured dolls, and some other benefits, I highly recommend following my Patreon as well. I offer a free tier as well as my paid one, so there's options for everyone, so I will also leave the link to that in the description as well. And as always, a huge thank you over to my paid patrons over there. Pumpkin Tushy, Allie Neal, Jazer, and Siri, thank you guys so much for supporting me over there. It truly means a lot to me. If you guys like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys are having a good morning, night, evening, or whatever it is wherever you are. And I'll see you guys in the next video.